Hi everyone, my name is Dana and I would like to welcome you to the very first video that I've ever made in a series of hopefully a whole bunch that I am wanting to record just for my own sake and for my kids' sake and for friends' sakes. So bear with me as I make introductions of myself if some of you don't know me. My name is Dana. I have 4 kids, Ivy, Genesis, Hazel, and Abe, and I'm happily married. We live in Central Illinois. We've lived here for about 8 years, and for quite a while now, I've been wanting to make videos about my journey, and my journey is different because I have multiple sclerosis, and it's not like everybody else's MS. In fact, every single person with MS has a different story and different things that go on in their lives, but this is specific to me, and if it can help anybody down the road, or if there's someone struggling with some of the issues that I struggle with, I'm hoping that maybe I can help. And so this is just going to be my first video, kind of making introductions, explaining kind of where I started with MS, and then at what point I've come to, and how I'm feeling, and yeah, so I will start at the beginning of my journey. So I'm going to take you back to 2007, December of 2007, and Ivy was 9 months old. We had been living in Branson, Missouri, and so we came up to Illinois for a visit for Christmas, and it was December 23rd. We were driving up, and I just felt like something was in my eye. I couldn't get it out, and I kept rubbing it, and all the signs on the roads just looked really weird, and I couldn't get this thing out of my eye. So I got to Tremont, and I just told my in-laws that I just didn't feel good. My eye had been acting all weird, but hopefully by going to bed and then getting a good night's rest and waking up the next morning, I would feel better. So I went to bed, but the next morning I woke up and it was worse, and I couldn't see very well, but it was Christmas Eve. Everything was closed. We had Christmas Eve service. Life was just really busy, and I thought, I'm just stressed. I'm tired, having a baby who was 9 months old and still not really sleeping through the night. And so I kind of shook it off, but it didn't get better. Christmas morning, I woke up and I went to put my makeup on for the day, and I couldn't see to put my makeup on. When I closed this eye to put makeup on this eye, I couldn't see. And I started freaking out, and I kind of ran out into the dining room, and I told Jake, my husband, I can't see to put my makeup on. Something is really wrong. And so luckily, my in-laws had some connections, and we were able to get into an eye doctor the next day. And they did a whole bunch of tests, and then they sent me to a retinal specialist. And I'm just thinking, well, I'm going to have glasses, or, I don't know, something's wrong with my vision, obviously. So I went to the retinal specialist in Peoria, and he took like an hour and a half to review my results. And he came into the room, and it was kind of a dimly lit room, and he came in, and I just remember him looking really somber, and he said, you have optic neuritis, and have you ever heard of that? And I was like, no, I have no idea. I just thought, oh, okay, well, something with my optic nerve. And he said optic neuritis is usually a precursor to multiple sclerosis. And my heart just stopped, because we had family friends that had MS, and I had heard my parents talking about them and just feeling bad for them because of what was going on in their lives, and knowing that sometimes it could be kind of a major thing, and it was a neurological disorder. And I just sat in that room and thought, oh goodness, this is a lot bigger than what I thought it was. And he looked really somber, and he said, 90% of the time it is a precursor, but 10% of the time it could just happen, and then it might clear up, and you might never have any more symptoms. So we're just going to keep an eye on it. You're going to go back to Branson. I want you to get an MRI and a lumbar puncture, and we'll just see, you keep an eye on it for the next couple years. If it keeps recurring, then it's probably MS. That's what you're looking at, but we'll just wait and see. So I actually, he sent me to get an MRI that day, and then I got the MRI, and there were like tiny little lesions, but nothing major, nothing that they were concerned about. It could be from multiple different things. And so he wasn't worried about it, and we went back to Branson. And I kept living life normally, didn't think anything more of it, but about 6 to 7 months later, it happened again. And throughout the years, it kept happening. But I got a lumbar puncture, and the lumbar puncture came back clear. Usually, if you get a lumbar puncture and your proteins are high in the results, then that indicates a positive diagnosis, but mine was normal. And so I thought, well, I'm just the weirdo that has these random bouts of optic neuritis. And so, I kept living life, and I would have these horrible bouts, though, where I would lose vision in one eye mostly, and then I would put a patch on my other eye to try to strengthen that one eye, and I would just go on steroids. They would give me prednisone doses, and that would take about 2 to 3 weeks, make me feel miserable. I wouldn't sleep. Sometimes I was nursing babies while I was taking the prednisone, and it was just miserable. It made me hungry. I wanted to eat all the time. And so that was my life. I would just take steroids, and when I could feel it coming on, I had gotten to the point where I didn't even want steroids anymore, because it usually just supposedly it goes away and heals in about a month, and it just takes a while for the optic nerve to not be inflamed anymore and to the inflammation to go away. So it had just become a part of life, but I didn't really think anything more of it. But then in March of 2016, actually February 2016, I was walking through Walmart, and so this is, 9 years later. I was walking through Walmart and looking for Valentine's Day gifts for my kids. I always get stuff the day before Valentine's Day and surprise them every Valentine's Day morning with little presents on the table. So I was looking around, and all of a sudden I had this shooting pain go from my eye back to the back of my head. It was on my bad side where I always had the optic neuritis. And I just thought, what in the world? It was like an electrocuting, massive pain. And I could hardly function. I couldn't hardly get through Walmart. I stopped shopping, and I went home, and I called my neurologist right away. And they said, okay, we'll get you in tomorrow. Come in. We're going to do an MRI. We're going to do a lumbar puncture. We're going to make sure that we'll see what's going on. So I had the MRI done. The MRI was fine, but the lumbar puncture came back with really high proteins. So that was a positive diagnosis. And I remember the day that I got the call. I was laying in bed nursing my son upstairs during nap time, and my neurologist called, and he said it right on the phone. He said, it looks like you have a positive diagnosis for MS. And I just remember laying there thinking, okay, I'm going to fight this, because I don't know what my life is going to look like now, and I'm going to fight this, and I want to live for my kids, and I don't want to have anything happen to me that would shorten my lifespan, and nobody wants that, So I went and saw him and my neurologist, and we got on some medication. I was started on Copaxone, which is an injection 3 times a week, and it's miserable. It's so painful, and the pain lasts for about 20 minutes afterwards. The actual injection part stings really bad, but then it just gets worse over the next 20 minutes. And so it was not fun. And I can handle pain. I'm not a real wuss about pain, but every shot got worse, and you had to rotate body parts. So like your arm, and then your stomach, and then your thigh, and then your other side, and you kind of go up and down one side, and then you go down the other side to make sure that you're not injecting in the same place too many times, because then it can make scar tissue, and it was just horrible. And so I just thought, I hate this, but it's the only route I have. Well, I didn't get better. I kept having issues, and I would get my hand would feel like it was on fire. I would have just bad eyesight still. I was so tired. I was just so tired all the time. They got me on high dose vitamin D, which did help, but I was still really, really tired. So then my neurologist, he ended up passing away, and he was old, and he passed away from a stroke. And it was almost a blessing in disguise. He was in his 80s, and he was still kind of practicing the old 1960s, 1970s version of how to treat MS, and he wasn't up to date on any of the new stuff. And it was like he was still living in the past pretty much with the way he treated his patients. So he passed away, and all of his patients got passed to a new doctor in Peoria who was younger, and he was an MS specialist who had trained in a bunch of MS clinics around the country, and he knew the up-and-coming medications and all the new trials that were happening, and he was just full of knowledge. And so I got transferred to him, and that was the beginning of my new journey. And he said, they also did a cervical spinal MRI, which I had never had one done with my other doctor. And it come to find out I had a really bad lesion. And he said, so there are, let's look at your spinal cord as Manhattan real estate. And then there's, like Peoria real estate. Well, your lesion is in Manhattan, and so it's gonna affect everything. If you don't get on the right treatment for it, you have a lesion in one of the worst spots possible. And I didn't even know that before. So I had been on medication for, for a year without knowing, that I even had a really bad lesion back there. So he got me on a new medication after a couple weeks of study by myself and my nurse friends and my other dear friends that their opinions mean so much to me. We all looked at these medications, and they helped me decide which one to get on. And I picked one called Tecfidera, which is a really scary medicine, but it's one of the better ones out there. And I just thought, MS is a scary disease, but I have to take something for it. I don't want to just live and let it take over. So I have to prevent it somehow. I'm going to get on the best medication possible. So I'm on Tecfidera. And honestly, getting on it changed my life, as well as myself making a couple of really important life changes. I had gotten so bad that I was really scared of what my life was going to be like. I was really overweight, and after each baby I could not seem to lose the weight. In fact, I would pack it on more, even though I was nursing, and they say, oh, you're going to lose all your baby weight. It didn't happen for me. And I was just really hungry all the time, and so that was a big problem. I felt like I couldn't run around with my kids. I didn't have energy to go on hikes. I didn't have energy to ride bikes. I hardly had energy to take them to the pool during the summer. And so the next thing that really scared me was, what if, one morning I wake up and for some reason, my legs don't work, and my feet, or something's wrong with my feet, and I can't feel something, or I can't get out of bed. My husband literally would not be able to pick me up out of bed and get me into a wheelchair. He wouldn't be able to do it because I weighed so much. And so I made a promise to myself that I was going to get better. And I was going to do everything in my power to make sure that I could get out of bed with his help, that he could lift me up out of bed if that ever came to be. Because there's a very high likelihood that maybe someday my legs won't work and I won't be able to function by myself. I'll need somebody's help, like maybe my kids, I don't know. And now they can lift me. So anyway, that was my goal to myself was, I'm going to get help. So I will share that part of the story tomorrow. And then every day from here on out, I want to start sharing just things that have helped me get by, and things that bring joy to my life. And what an amazing life I do have now, and how thankful I am to the Lord that He has put me in this place, and that He's given me tools, and He's given me so many people to encourage me and be with me through trials and through joyful times. And I want to be an encouragement, and I want to help people strive to be better, and strive to get healthier, and strive for, a wonderful relationship with the Lord. So this was my beginning of my story, and I hope to be posting more. If you follow my channel, you can, keep up to date on what's going on in our lives. I'm going to be sharing recipes. I'll share fun stuff to do with kids. I love to cook. I'm not a by-the-book cooker at all. I do my own thing, and I'm always making up recipes, and I add stuff. Baking's not so much my thing, but I can cook on a stovetop. And I love my Instapot that I got for Christmas. So I'll be sharing a whole bunch of really fun stuff, mainly about, walking with my God and living in His light, because He's the one that has helped me get this far, and my family as well. So I encourage you to join my channel and to watch my videos if you want encouragement, recipes, some funny stories. Just hop on and watch. All right, thanks. Bye.